Hey guys, day 9 on the online weekly assignments for week 2 is all about function notation. Now this is something that we did the second 9 weeks of school, so we're really reviewing now. We did this probably I think October and November, maybe even a little bit of December also. So remember, with function notation, that means that we start with f of x instead of just the y equals. We start with f of x, and what that means is whatever number is inside the parentheses, that's our input. Remember, whenever we talked about functions, we talked a lot about input and output. So whatever you plug into the function, you're going to get something out of it. It's kind of like a machine. That was the example that I used whenever we talked about this in class. So basically, you're given functions on that assignment, on the document that you were given online. I give you some functions and I tell you find f of this number, f of this number, f of that number, and basically all you're doing is using parentheses, plugging in those numbers wherever you see an x. So if you look at this example right here, this says f of x equals x squared minus x. I see 2 x's in this problem. So that means I'm going to have to plug whatever number it tells me to in twice, once here and once here. And I'm going to make sure that I do that with parentheses. If you saw what I posted earlier today, I posted a link to the Desmos scientific calculator for those of you who do not have the calculators that we have at school at home. Because your phone, if you have an iPhone, if you're using the calculator app, you cannot input parentheses. So if you try plugging in a negative, if you try doing this is going to be wrong because it needs to have parentheses. Okay, the negative 4 squared is going to give you the wrong answer. So please make sure that if you're plugging this into a calculator that you use a scientific one. So either a physical one if you have one, or the Desmos scientific calculator that I put online, which is just a website. So whenever we do this, I see the first x, I see an x squared. I'm going to plug, if I'm finding f of negative 4, I'm going to plug negative 4 in for that x, and then make sure that I keep the squared after it, but the negative 4 needs to go in parentheses. Then I'm going to bring down my minus, and then I see another x, which means I need another set of parentheses, and again, negative 4 is going to go inside those parentheses. The parentheses make a huge difference if you're plugging this into a calculator. Negative 4 squared is going to be a positive 16. Minus negative 4 will change to a plus 4, and that's going to give us 20. So f of negative 4 is going to equal 20 when we plug that in. If we do it again with negative 1, again, same process, just plugging in a different number. You could even start by rewriting the problem and replacing the x's with parentheses, and then just after you have that done, just plug in the number that you're supposed to inside the parentheses. Again, negative 1 squared will be a positive 1. This is going to change to a plus. 1 plus 1 is going to be 2. And then last but not least, if you're plugging in 7 to find f of 7, if I write this with parentheses first, I'm just going to plug in a 7 into each of those. 7 squared will be 49 minus 7, and that's going to be 42. So just make sure that with function notation, you can rewrite the problem and replace the x's with parentheses, and then whatever number is inside here, that's what you're going to plug in for each one that you see. And every time that you have an exponent, those parentheses, that's where it makes the most difference. Because if you don't do that, that would change that to a negative 16 instead of a positive. So please make sure you use parentheses. Other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. Please make sure on your paper when you're doing this that shows some kind of work. So show, at least your step of plugging them in. And then if you use the calculator after that, that's fine. But please make sure that you show something. Don't just put numbers for those. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. And that's for function notation. See you guys later.